Welcome everyone, you're tuned into Did You Know, and I'm your host Danny. Today we're journeying into the mystical mountains of Bhutan, a place where happiness is more than just a feeling. It's the measure of a nation's success. That's right, we're talking about gross national happiness. It sounds intriguing, doesn't it? So what exactly is gross national happiness, or GNH? Originating in Bhutan, GNH is a philosophy that guides the government's policy making. It's an approach that values collective happiness and well-being over material wealth. But it's not just about being happy. It's a profound commitment to building an economy and culture that fosters spiritual, mental, and emotional growth. Let's take a real-life example. Imagine you're walking through the streets of Thimphu, Bhutan's capital. You won't find towering skyscrapers or bustling stock exchanges. Instead, you will see serene monasteries, verdant valleys, and people living a life deeply connected with their traditions and nature. In Bhutan, success isn't measured by the GDP or how many luxury cars one owns, but by how policies and development impact the well-being of its people and their environment. But why should we care, you might ask? Now here's the thing. In our fast-paced, often materialistic world, Bhutan offers a refreshing perspective on what matters in life. It's about community, culture, environmental conservation, and living in harmony. For instance, think about how we often chase career advancements or material possessions, believing they'll bring us happiness. In contrast, Bhutanese culture emphasizes contentment, compassion, and mindfulness. It's a reminder that sometimes less is more, and the real happiness often lies in the simple things in life. Now, this doesn't mean we all need to pack up and move to Bhutan, but we can certainly learn from their philosophy, whether it's taking time to appreciate nature, fostering community connections, or simply being more mindful about our impact on the world. There are lessons to be learned from Bhutan's approach. So, what can you do today to bring a little bit of Bhutan into your life? Maybe it's having a meal with your family without the distraction of smartphones. Or perhaps it's a quiet moment alone in a park, appreciating the beauty of nature around you. It's about finding those moments of peace and connection in our daily lives. As we wrap up this part of our episode, remember, happiness isn't just a destination, it's a journey. And sometimes it's a journey that takes us across the globe to learn from cultures vastly different from our own. Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Bhutan's gross national happiness. Stay tuned for the next part of our episode where we'll delve deeper into this fascinating topic. We'll answer some commonly asked questions, bust some myths, and explore more about this unique philosophy. That's coming next, so don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Did You Know with me, Danny, as we continue our exploration of Bhutan's gross national happiness. We've already covered what GNH is and why Bhutan's approach is so unique. And now let's dive a little deeper into why this matters to you, answer some burning questions, bust some myths, and stir up a discussion. Let's start with why you should care. You might be thinking, I'm not from Bhutan, so why does this matter to me? Now, here's the thing. GNH represents a universal longing, the pursuit of happiness. It's about finding balance in life, which is something we all strive for, isn't it? Bhutan's philosophy challenges us to rethink our values and the metrics by which we measure success, both as individuals and societies. It's a call to prioritize our mental and emotional well-being along with environmental sustainability. This concept can inspire us to implement changes in our own lives and communities, striving for a more holistic and fulfilling existence. And now let's tackle some frequently asked questions. Firstly, how does Bhutan measure gross national happiness? Well, unlike typical metrics like GDP, GNH is measured through a series of surveys that assess 9 domains, including psychological, well-being, health, education, and environmental diversity. It's a holistic approach that looks at the overall quality of life. Another question I often hear is Bhutan the happiest country in the world? Well, interestingly, no. Bhutan ranks relatively high in happiness, but it's not at the top. This highlights that G&H is more about the pursuit and values of happiness rather than claiming to have achieved it entirely. And now let's bust some myths. A common misconception is that Bhutan is a utopia where everyone is always happy. Well, the reality is far more nuanced. Bhutan faces its own set of challenges like any other country. The difference lies in how they address these challenges, prioritizing holistic well-being over materialistic gains. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on a few discussion points. How can we apply the principles of G&H in our own lives? Do you think a focus on happiness could change the way your country develops policies? Share your opinions in the comment section and let's start a conversation. And that brings us to the end of today's episode on Bhutan's gross national happiness. I hope this has given you some food for thought and maybe even inspired you to bring a bit of Bhutan into your daily life. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow and share the podcast. Your support means the world to us. And if you're feeling extra generous, check out our Patreon page to support the show. Remember, happiness is not just a feeling, it's a way of life. So let's take a step towards a happier, more balanced world, one day at a time. Stay happy, stay curious, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Did You Know? Take care, everyone.